Hi, it's Melissa from melissaversusfibromyalgia.com here. Today I wanted to talk about early pregnancy symptoms and fibromyalgia. If you've read anything that I have written recently, especially around the surveys that I've taken, you'll know that there's kind of three options when you're pregnant with fibromyalgia. Your symptoms might stay the same, they might get worse, or they might get better. So I don't think it really matters too much about that part when we're talking things like morning sickness. Some people get away lucky, but up to 80% of people who are pregnant will suffer some form of morning sickness during the first trimester. So I thought that I would talk about my top tips. I have a couple of reports in the resources page. So the first is my guide to managing early pregnancy symptoms, and that's kind of a really big report, and that's something you can download if you're part of my newsletter list. So I'll leave the link to the newsletter down below, and this is a brand new report that's just going in, and this is kind of the 2018 edition with some updates. I've been learning lots of things. I haven't stopped researching just because I haven't been pregnant. I wanted to keep going and keep building the list of information because there really isn't anyone else out there doing this work, and I really just don't want anybody else to be sitting there by themselves with no help and not knowing, what impact pregnancy will have upon them. So, pregnancy is pretty exciting, but the first trimester can be tricky. So here are my tips. The first thing is to manage all of your human things first. So sleep as best as you can, rest, eat as healthily as possible. Sometimes that's just eating in general if you're really feeling unwell. If all you're wanting is a white carb, take the white carb. It's better to have food in your system. Take a pregnancy multivitamin, especially if you're worried about catching all your nutrients when you're not eating very well or you can't eat very much. Especially make sure you get your folic acid. Drink lots of water. Water is very important. Stay hydrated. Don't forget, I literally wrote a book about it. So I wrote the book Pregnancy and Fibromyalgia, and I go into a bit of detail about all of these things there, and I can leave the link below to that as well. Now, specific for morning sickness, there's a few things that I relied upon in my 2 pregnancies. Ginger tea, or just ginger in general. I really appreciated ginger. Ginger lozenges, or just even there's a brand here in New Zealand called Naked Ginger, which is literally just ginger with a bit of cane sugar, and I find that sucking on that really helps when you're feeling quite nauseous. Peppermint tea and peppermints are also really helpful. Vitamin B6, that's something my doctor prescribed for me, but I understand you can also get that over the counter. Do some research though, don't take too much, and make sure you take enough for it to make a difference. And the acupressure wristbands, so there were these funky little purple wristbands I got that went around my wrist and hit that acupressure point, and that can help as well. And lemon juice, you can either smell it or put it in some water and drink it. I found that actually quite useful. But if it's quite bad and you're not keeping water or food down, you really do need to seek medical attention, because hydration is really crucial. You need those nutrients for yourself and for your growing baby. There's a couple more options that I use that you need to do your own research on, and in the report I provide a couple of articles that are a really great start for you in deciding whether or not to use it. Is essential oils. Now, I wrote a report about essential oils for natural health on the resources page as well, so you can catch that report if you sign up. I'll put the link down there for my newsletter list. There's actually several reports in there that probably would be quite useful for you, and they're all just sitting in there. But I used lavender for pain. I use that all the time. And peppermint for nausea and headaches, which are 2 big things. So it's worth having a look into that, see whether that's something you want to try. Managing the fatigue is a big thing. So usually I manage my chronic fatigue quite well, but in the early stages of pregnancy, the fatigue is quite exacerbated. I have... Normally, my fatigue can cause nausea and orthostatic intolerance. So when you add early pregnancy to that, it's a little bit exacerbated, but you just have to prioritize rest and sleep. I was known to go to bed as soon as my son was in bed when I was pregnant the second time. You can lie down in bed and read. You can be doing some gentle stretches while you're there if you're in a bit of pain. And if insomnia is plaguing you and it helps, then try some meditation. I really love meditation. I've written a lot about that. It's really useful, especially if you suffer from insomnia, which is not a good thing when you also have chronic fatigue. So some extra things. So if, like me, pain is a real problem, even from the beginning of your pregnancy, you can have a look into things like stretching, so cat and cow pose, child's pose, forward bend, hip flexor stretches, and low back stretches. Those are all really delicious. You can Google around for them, or you can even look on YouTube for yoga for pregnancy. That's a really great one. Keep exercising gently as you can. I mean, some days you're going to be too tired and too sick to do it, and that's okay, but gentle exercise will really help with the pain. Warm baths and showers. Oh, I'm obsessed. You could also add essential oils. I love adding lavender to my bath. Arnica pain cream. So that's really nice to rub. I rub that on my neck and my shoulders and my lower back, but wherever your pain points are. And physiotherapy or massage or osteopathy, whatever works for you. I see a physio because I need the dry needling. I need the needles inserted into the trigger points. I've got some in the back of my neck and down in my shoulder blades, and the only way to manage them is the needles in there. They just sit there gently, they don't prod at them, and that really releases it off and makes it feel better for me. So that's what works for me, and that's again something you have to figure out as to what works for you. Now, if you're trying to head off pelvis issues like I did, here's what I do, and my physio taught me how to do these properly, but knee presses, mini squats, calf lifts, pelvic floor work, and the Superman pose. So all of these things are helping to strengthen the low back, the abdominals, and your upper legs, because if your pelvis has troubles like I did, I had symphysis pubis disorder, so my pelvis separated a bit too far, which causes severe pain. You really want to keep that as strong as possible for as long as possible. So also you have to remember that it's a finite time. The first trimester will be over in 12 weeks, and then you'll be on to other things, namely your tiny passenger who is growing very fast. If you want more information, come over and join the Pregnancy and Fibromyalgia Facebook group. I'll put a link for that also down below. That's a really cool group of really amazing women where we kind of chat and support each other. You could also try my full pregnancy and fibromyalgia course, where I go through everything and give you the template so that you can make your own plans. And also there's the pregnancy and fibromyalgia full workbook available on my Etsy store. So that's the same workbook from my course, but it just means that you can download it and work on it whatever you like at your own pace. And come along to the Facebook group if you are pregnant or considering pregnancy with fibromyalgia. We would love to chat with you. Anyway, if you like these videos, if you find it interesting, please do sign up to my newsletter list. Please click like down below, and also subscribe so you can catch my other videos. Thanks so much. See you again.